You know what was so cool about Khomeini? Khomeini was a mystic. He was not an Orthodox 12er. It's heretical for me to say that because he identified that way. And according to the record, he was. But in reality, why Khomeini was a revolutionary is because he got deep into like Gnostic mysticism of the Persian tradition. And Khomeini literally came to the awakening that like all reality was an illusion and therefore all of the British and American guns aren't even real. Not literally, but like that was the vibe. The reason he was so revolutionary is because he just literally denied the fake reality of Anglo-Madrid. He just denied it. He got so into the mystic stuff, the Gnostic stuff, that he just no longer respected reality. All the aircraft carriers and the bombs and the planes and the tanks, not literally, but like that was the vibe. It didn't faze him. What is this? This is an obstruction upon my senses. So what? His rejection of materialism. That's what it was. There's two types of oppositions to materialism you'll find. One is his, which is like almost non-existent, totally rare. The other one is like a lack of realism and a obliviousness, where you're like slavish and submissive to power, and you're just kind of being pulled along in every which direction by those with money and power, while you're, you know, claiming to be in a stoic. It's like cuckoldry. That's idealism, right? But Khomeini, he transcended the reality of imperialism and capitalism and all these things to the point where all of the fear and intimidation and all of these implicit rules of power that you're supposed to obey and get in line with, which all the clerics did, by the way, it did not faze him. He said, no, this is not the true reality. See, a lot of people thought Khomeini was like a Gandhi figure. He wasn't he was ready to kill people. I'm not endorsing that, but like he had no issue with violence if it was necessary. He did not accept the reality, mainstream reality itself. He was like a Gnostic. He was like awakening from a spiritual, ideological prison. You know, there's only 1 degree of separation away between Mao's Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution and Khomeini. Mao's Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution was uprooting and fighting bourgeois consciousness and culture everywhere. Khomeini also underwent a revolution within consciousness, breaking the illusory world of bourgeois consciousness, literally breaking through it and insisting upon an esoteric truth of Islam that transcended time. He was like a Neoplatonist. And that is how he became a revolutionary. For Khomeini, overthrowing a government was not a tremendous thing. Khomeini would casually call for the overthrow of the Egyptian government. Okay. Like, it's no big deal. And this is why he infuriated the American imperialists. They were so angry at him. He would take the Americans hostage in the embassy. Okay. He didn't care. He wasn't scared. He didn't give a fuck. Because when you're not even living in the same reality as the imperialists, it's like you're so schizophrenic that they can't, like, you're untouchable. There's nothing they can do to make you scared of them. You're not living in the same reality. That's why they would call him a madman. They would call him crazy. He got a reputation globally of being a crazy man. This is why. Because the gnosis, the mystical gnosis he achieved, which was outside of the orthodox clerical Islam, by the way. He was engaging with such a strain of Sufi and Gnostic mystical traditions, Neoplatonist mystical traditions, like Mullah Sadra and Ibn Sina, and all these lineages and traditions, shit that hasn't even been translated into English yet, from the Persian canon, and Al-Farabi, from the Persian canon, the Persian tradition. He was really getting immersed into that, right? And this is the origin of the Islamic Revolution. Today's Iran, well, look, that's not Khomeini's fault. This is the thing, people are coping about Khomeini. They're trying to like avoid what he actually accomplished. Khomeini was not a state builder, you know, he said economics is for donkeys. He wasn't somebody who was a systems builder. He was a systems breaker. Khomeini should be credited for that. He broke the fucking system. Mentally, spiritually, and materially, he broke it. Did he create a new one in its stead? No, he didn't. But he actually did break it. And everyone blames Khomeini too much, and he's a reaction. Khomeini was a cleric, okay, who grew up and was immersed in a tradition that really didn't change for centuries. And he slightly bent a little bit by getting into this mysticism stuff and the Gnostic tradition, and That's how he discovered the, it's so fascinating because the Western revolutionary tradition comes from mysticism as well. I mean, the Western Enlightenment is rooted in the esoteric, and this lineage was independently discovered by Khomeini in a different way from a different tradition, and it also unleashed the revolutionary spark. And Khomeini was not some guy who was like intending on like creating a revolution. No, he discovered it accidentally as a literal cleric. Okay, unprecedented in the history of revolutions. And it's like the Chad meme and the crying soy jack, where like the CIA is the crying soy jack and the based Khomeini has like exited samsara and he's like literally transcended reality itself and he's just chill. He's not intimidated whatsoever by any of their money, by their guns, by their bombs, nothing, because none of that shit even matters to him. This is what it means to be a real one. To be a real one, some of these people, they go, I'm into Eastern thinking. Yeah, you're passive. Only when you actually act on the basis of what you believe. Only when you buy into your bullshit. So much to the point where you're actually willing to decisively act upon it in ways that contradict conventions that are expected of you. Only then can you say, well, you have a position or a belief of any kind. If you're a fucking conformist, who unconsciously conforms and submits to power. You engage in immorality. You lie. You spread lies. You turn a blind eye to lies. It doesn't matter what you fucking believe consciously. In your soul, you're a bitch. Khomeini, because he engaged in this esoteric confrontation of the soul, it literally allowed him to break with something it's unfathomable to question. And this is a lot of the infrared energy. It comes from this lineage. Absolutely. Does. So many people see Haas and they see infrared and they go, what right? Who do you think you're like? They think I'm crazy. You're not bowing to BreadTube. You're not going to bow to the Democrats and into the discourse. Who the fuck do you think you are? Just saying the truth so plainly and openly in the way that you do. And I say, fuck you, you pussy. You should have asked yourself that question. You should have asked yourself why you so slavishly, in such an unprincipled and disgusting way, just go with the flow without questioning it. Because you're a pussy who's too scared to stand on business. It terrifies you to even think of breaking out of the fucking mold of your conformity with corruption. You breathe it like it's natural to you, like it's crazy and insane to even question your unprincipled stance and behavior. How you don't take responsibility for each step you take in this life. You go with the flow, you conform, you submit to people who have popularity, who have power, who have money, and you think nothing of it. You don't even blame yourself. You say this is just how reality is. No. This is your corruption, which you are absolutely responsible for, and you will burn in hell for it. Whether hell is real or whether it's not real literally doesn't fucking matter. You will be remembered by history and by generations for being the corrupt sellout that you are. Some people, they're like mice. They fear confrontation. They fear taking responsibility for the world they live in. They fear taking responsibility for the stream of experience that they're culpable in, that they partake in. They don't live by any principle. They don't live by anything. And they take responsibility for nothing. And they call that reality. And they don't blame themselves. They blame others. And then worst of all, these people, when they suffer inevitably, pretend that they're victims, that they somehow deserve something from this world which they never even fucking took responsibility for in the first place. They pretend to be victims. They pretend like it's unfair to them, that they should get what they want. As if, why would a world that you don't even take responsibility for give a fuck about you? Why would a life that you don't condition on any basis possibly return to you any kind of mercy, any kind of meaningfulness? You are absolutely responsible for your reality. Not just for your actions, not just for what you do, for what you are, for what you see, for what you experience. Absolutely, you're responsible. You want to know proof that you're responsible? Go on the fucking subway, go on the sidewalk and look at crackheads whose heads have snapped and they've lost it. If they can fucking lose it like that and they could see ghosts and everything fucking shatters, then the reality you experience, which is normal, which is correct, you don't think you're actively partaking and participating in that? You are. Now, are your thoughts creating trees? And no, you're not creating it. But how reality appears to you and how you make meaningful sense of it is absolutely a burden that falls upon you. It's a reflection on your soul. It's a reflection on the principles by which you live. And a lot of people, it's sad, before they're ever willing to hurt this fake prison world that they live in, they'll rather hurt themselves physically. They would rather take their own lives than end the world in front of them. End their fake dream world, their false world of illusions. They would sooner protect their false world of illusions than their own physical lives, because they cannot handle the confrontation necessary to make this life meaningful. That burden is too much for them. The root cause of corruption, all the immorality and wickedness and corruption of the world is people who passively acquiesce to what appears as real because it's communicated as real without taking responsibility for why essentially it is real. And my words are common sense. The social pressure in a setting where somebody is being victimized and bullied, and you passively acquiesce and join in on scapegoating someone and bullying them. They're on the ground, everyone's kicking them, and you join in kicking them because everyone else is. It's exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Doesn't it take a crazy person to stand up and say this is fucking wrong? Doesn't this take a rupture with the conventionally held reality of things? Doesn't that make you a little bit crazy? Well, why shouldn't it? Is it crazy that we reject the corruption of so-called leftists who have no principles, who lie? They breathe lies. They exhale and inhale lies like a pig feeding at the fucking trough with filth and dirt coming out and inside of it at every breath they take, snorting like the filthy pigs they are. Are we crazy for rejecting that and rejecting them and their way of living and their way of experiencing and their way of brandishing loyalty and fidelity to ideas? Are we wrong for demanding the establishment of independent political authority instead of shilling for the Democrats because it's convenient? Look at how these pigs snicker at us for standing on principle when we say no to the Democrats, no to the NGOs, no to the Soros money, no to their corruption. They snicker at us. They call us suckers. They call us idiots, and they laugh at us for our principledness. They say you're crazy and not living in reality. Fuck you and fuck your reality is my response. And so for this crime, they call us crazy for breaking reality. So we're crazy for breaking their reality. And in response, what do? They invent their own. Fabricated outright, making up lies about us at every turn. Outright, black and white, no ambiguity, no grain of truth, just lies. Outright, irrefutable lies. What is a better vindication of our insanity than their lies? Our crime of breaking with a world we say is a world of illusions. What better vindicates our insistence that their ideology is an ideology of illusions and falsehoods and lies, that the conventionally held experience of reality is rooted in falsehood? What better vindicates us than the empirical proof we gain by virtue of our experience, witnessing in real time how they lie, how they fabricate reality about us right before our eyes. If they lied about us, they're lying about everything else too. We've gained the empirical proof, first-hand account of how their fucking prison planet system of lies and falsehoods and illusions works. First-hand empirical proof. You see how they lie about Iran? They lie about Iran like no other nation. It's one of the most lied about countries on earth. The minute Khomeini had the courage to break their world of falsehood and illusions, they did nothing but incessantly and non-stop lie about that man and lie about Iran. Neo Berg claimed that Iran killed 50,000 communists. Didn't get noted. In reality, Iran executed MEK traitors who collaborated with Saddam with the assistance of the CIA. And as for the Tuda traitors who are in bed with our own enemies, the Sims clique and international left Zionism, I spit on them. They claim Iran is barbaric toward women. Iran, which is a society dominated by women in almost every field and respect that gives people professional dignity. Women dominate. Scientists, professionals, you name it. They'll show a photo of someone getting hung and killed and say this person's crime was they had a certain sexual orientation. Turns out the person was a rapist and a pedophile. And these disgusting Zionists, they lie about Iran. on. They lie about it endlessly and nonstop. They're nothing but liars. The whole prison of the mind, that is Zionism, is built on nothing but disgusting and filthy lies. Just like how the Zionists openly lie to our face about their crimes in Gaza, about the crimes of the Zionist entity, and they see these lies as a means to an end. But what is their end? What's their honest end, really? How many times are we gonna let these people fool us? And how many times are we gonna turn a blind eye to it? Every fucking time there's some new Democrat. Oh, stop being negative, stop being... Why shouldn't I be fucking negative? Don't we have the right to have some fucking questions after AOC and after Bernie? Don't we at the bare minimum have the right to ask some fucking questions about this Zohran? As if we hadn't been conned? As if we hadn't seen with our own eyes for years how they sold out the minute they got in office and sheepdog people back in the rotten, disgusting Democratic Party? But no, you're asking too many questions. You're breaking too much with reality. Come back to sanity. You're too crazy. You're too crazy. But every time I question these Democrats, every time I question these fucks, they magically come at me with bots, and you'll see a tweet. Watch, you'll see a tweet tomorrow. It'll be a lie. You get 1,000 likes. 2 retweets, 1,000 likes. 500,000 impressions. We don't know how it got on the algorithm. It's a big fucking mystery, right? You know, for a long time in my life, I thought I was actually fucking crazy. I thought maybe there's a chance I'm just fucking crazy. Then Trump got elected. And then I saw how society was changing. And I saw how consciousness was changing. And I realized I'm not fucking crazy. I just confronted truth earlier than others did by virtue of external events. You start questioning their reality, their manufactured false world. They start calling you dangerous. They start saying, oh, you're an anti-Semite, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're this and you're that. Because these filthy scum tell on themselves. Because they believe that this false prison world they've created is the only thing keeping Nazism at bay. Because if we accept the raw and authentic truth of reality, we're all going to be tempted by Nazism. But the truth is that they're the fucking Nazis. They're repressed their swastikas. Germany even banned the swastika. But all the hideous crimes of Nazism, they've repeated tenfold. You fearmonger about Nazism, and the minimal estimate, and I've seen estimates compellingly much more, 50,000 civilians slaughtered in Gaza, and the world doesn't give a fuck. You tell me what I have to fear more than that we don't already see. Millions killed in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria because of the regime change. Also, the Zionist regime change operations. You tell me what I'm supposed to be fucking scared of. You think I'm scared of the far right and the right wingers? I'm not fucking scared of them. I'm not scared of anything because the crimes of the people already in power have left us with nothing to lose, morally speaking. There's no tragedy they're willing to overlook. There's no crime they're unwilling to commit. There's no line they're not willing to cross. So what do we have to fucking lose as far as the Overton window and morality is concerned at this point? Do we fight the rightists and the neo-fascists? Of course we fight them. But we don't fight them because we're afraid of them. We fight them because they're misleading people down a false path, which is ultimately just going to put people back into conformity with this fake bullshit system. We're not trying to protect our system from the far right. We're trying to protect millions and millions of young people from suicidally making a new pact with this rotten system under a new form. We're fighting for their souls. We're fighting for their spirits. We're fighting for their morale. You know, every Thursday I would do Confront the Chairman Spaces. And why would I do that? To show everyone that these disgusting enemies of ours, they can't even utter a word against me. Their word, their tongue, their soul trembles in the midst of my words. They feel the same terror that the Zionists felt on October 7th. Literally, it's worse for them. My words are bombs, they're missiles, they're bullets. They shake and tremble with fear at the thought of confronting me with their lies. How much I would shatter and violently blow up their fucking world just with my words. I've proven that sufficiently. Every Thursday I'd host a space. Not a single one of them would show up. There's some people, they keep this veneer where they pretend to be normal and they're not. Oh, you guys are crazy. We're so normal. We're so well adjusted. No, you're fucking not. We see past your pathetic attempt to feel validated and powerful by identifying yourself with all these normies that you envy for their obliviousness. But the truth is, you're just a rotten piece of shit who's miserable because because your life has no meaning. And all you have guiding and motivating you is hate, lies, malice, and ultimately self-destruction. I guess everyone's having a normal one, right? They're all just fucking going to therapy and they're 2 months away from suicide, but everyone's so normal, right? Everyone's having such a normal one, but they're all in therapy and they're all doing drugs and they're all literally fucked up in the head. But we're the crazy ones, right? I swear to God, I thought I was crazy for a long time. Then I started looking at where society was going and how much everyone is losing their fucking mind. And I was like, shit. I was just early. You know how many people come up to me and tell me that our party and our movement is the reason they got off alcohol and got off drugs and got their fucking life together? Just know that the enemies of our party, their goal, whether admitted or not, their goal is for you to go back to alcohol, back to drugs, back to self-destruction, back to where you were before this movement. That's how they would prefer you, because they want to kill you, because they want to kill themselves and you for the crime of not being adjusted well enough to this disgusting, rotten, and filthy system that is only working for a tiny minority of bloodsuckers. And even then, those people don't have their shit together. Even then, we are all guilty of the crime of escaping a false reality. That's just the truth. Our crime is escaping a false prison they call their reality, not dwelling in the so-called reality where you unquestionably take their discourse to be the ultimate truth, where you believe what the mainstream media tells you, where you believe what the institutions tell you, and where, for God's sake, you buy into their fucking narrative cope most of all. Their way of adjusting to existence. The way they adjust to existence, the way they communicate this way of life, this demeanor, this temperament through movies, through TV. It's just being normal. It's a false, fake reality. The celebrities and reality TV, you fucking name it, it's all a fucking sham. 99% of people will watch a fucking movie or a TV show and they will get their entire character, their entire reality from, that's how I gotta be. That's how it is. And it's all fake and false. And monkey see, monkey do. That's just, I guess, human nature. And our goal is to show the monkey that what they see is a lie. No, all the ops are showing themselves because they can't handle what I'm saying right now. So now they're revealing themselves. They literally couldn't make it this far. They have to give away their position. They have to give away that they're infiltrators because they can't fucking make it this far. See, one of the coping mechanisms of these people is they're pretending like they're trolling you. You give them a pill so difficult to swallow, so difficult to take and process. Their coping mechanism, I'm just going to troll you to avoid confronting it. It's all a joke. The actual Joker from the Batman movies, who some retards idolize, that Joker had no emotions. He didn't feel pain. He had no fears. All he knew how to do was laugh. That's not you, buddy. That's not you. You sit in your corner and you cry like a bitch every night because of how much you think life is unfair. You're a pussy, you're a bitch, and a coward. You don't laugh at reality. You don't think it's all a joke. You cry. You cry when your emotions and your feelings are hurt. You cry when you're rejected socially. You cry. It hurts your fifis. You're not the fucking Joker. You're a pussy hiding behind comedy to avoid confrontation with the hollowness and shallowness of your fucking soul. You know, conformity with reality doesn't just mean accepting the rational, the basic sober sense that, there is a world outside of your head. And yes, if you see a tree, it's real. Like, it's not literally like it's the Matrix or something. There's another reality you're also experiencing, which is how you're fed a sense of meaningfulness of your existence, how your reality comes together coherently and forms part of a narrative, of a purpose. And that is the when people lose that, they lose the other one too, is what I'm trying to say. As in, if you're a schizophrenic who loses touch with the meaningfulness of existence totally, you can't see trees normally anymore. You can't see grass normally. You can't experience banal, everyday things normally anymore. That's how closely together these things are tied together. And Khomeini is a guy who is willing to risk his sanity for the purpose of searching for truth. And he did so in a way that completely diluted any sense of respect or fear he had for bombs and planes and guns and threats to his own life. Because he understood life has a purpose, one he was willing to die for, nothing could intimidate him. The things that drive human beings ordinarily under our system, you want to consume, you want money, you want things that signify you're a valuable person, you want brand products, you want pleasure, you want validation and recognition in others. He didn't need any of those things. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's that level of gnosis where material needs can no longer be used against you. You have transcended. And people claim this is idealism, but in parallel, wasn't something similar going on in Mao's Cultural Revolution? Was that not a search for transcendence? The worldly reality of bourgeois consciousness and its conformity and corruption and just attempting to emulate the West slavishly in a way that came at the expense of revolutionary principles. And why is this something inherently revolutionary? Because revolution, it means coming full circle. But here's the mistake people make. If you're coming full circle, why move at all? That's the question they ask. And it's a mistake. It's a mistaken question because you will never be still. Movement is the truth. Like Heraclitus said, movement is the truth of it. You come full circle, not because your position is absolute, but because coming full circle confirms the reality of change and movement itself. And that is what's ultimately real, according to the dialectical outlook.